I remember I was 16 or 17 doing everything I could to try and increase my looks, my self-confidence, basically improve everything about myself, and that's when I found him. I'm talking about the one and only Jeremy Fragrance. Power! This guy may as well have been my Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior for around a year. Because of him, I very quickly bought Versace Eros, followed almost instantaneously by Dior Sauvage, and just like that, I'd become addicted to fragrances and officially fallen into the fragrance rabbit hole. Despite now owning over 100 bottles of cologne, as you can see from behind me, I still love both of these fragrances and even regularly wear them. Props to Jeremy, man. Yes, Jeremy Fragrance isn't the same man that he used to be. He may be, a little bit quirky, a little bit strange now, but because of the amazing way he introduced me and guided me through the fragrance world, he has inspired me to try and help some of you watching. So with that in mind, I will be giving you 3 crucial tips to ensure that you pick an amazing first fragrance that you can potentially wear for the rest of your life, and also reflect on 3 of my key fragrance mistakes so you can avoid doing the same. The first, probably the most important tip to make sure you choose an amazing first fragrance is to be very mindful about the type of fragrance that you choose. You want to go for something called a blue fragrance. This is a subcategory of fragrances that essentially just represents the smell of the ocean. Just picture a fresh shower gel type of scent. That is one that you're going to want to go for as your first fragrance. Some popular examples include YSL EDP, Dior Sauvage, which even if you aren't into fragrances, there's a good chance you've heard of this one. And finally, Versace Hawas Ice. These all kind of have that minty shower gel vibe to them. The reason this is such a good choice as a first fragrance is because of their versatility. You can wear this category of fragrance to literally any occasion, any situation, gym, work, school, office, sports, anything you want, a blue fragrance can do it. Although when you go and try a bunch of fragrances in store, it's often the really sweet vanilla heavy ones that are going to really impress you and they're going to be the most tempting to buy. However, you must keep versatility in mind, especially if you're only going to have one cologne for an extended period of time. These sweet ones are best in the fall and winter time, usually at night when you're going out, partying, date nights, that type of thing. In the high heat, they're just way too cloying and sticky on your skin. And trust me, you're gonna regret buying it as your first cologne. My favorite blue fragrance of all time is YSL EDP. This is one I recommend you at least try. It's got green apple in the top. It's very soapy, it's clean, it's masculine. It's just so easy to love. I highly recommend this one. The second key tip to ensure you pick an amazing first fragrance as a young man is to go in store and sample them first, as opposed to just blind buying them online or just going off what people like me are talking about or, reviews. Don't just trust us with blind eyes. Go in and try them yourself. Everyone has different tastes. No matter how well reviewed a fragrance is, there's still a good chance that you could go in and absolutely hate it. That's just the nature of fragrances. Different fragrance stores are going to be obviously different depending on the country you live in. I'm from Australia, so for me, Libertine Perfumes, David Jones, Maya, those 3 are kind of my go-tos, and I have stores nearby. So, if I want to go try, especially an expensive fragrance I'm looking at, I'll just pop in, ask, for a sample of it, and then see if I like it. If I like it, I'll wear it for a couple days, make sure I enjoy both the opening and the dry down of the fragrance, and then potentially buy it. If you look and you realize there's no stores nearby, or the stores nearby don't have the fragrance that you want to try, you can always order cologne samples online. I actually sell my own samples at fbfragrances.store. I ship within Australia. However, if you're in the US, the UK, there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of reputable fragrance sample stores that you can buy from online. Blind buying can definitely be a fun, exhilarating experience, don't get me wrong, but from what I've learned in my 2+ years of collecting cologne is that usually blind buying is never worth it. The amount of unsuccessful blind buys I've had have honestly outweighed the successful ones. I always recommend sampling when possible. Last but not least, to make sure you get an amazing perfection type first cologne is to choose something that you don't think you'll get bored of very quickly. This can be tough at first because as a newbie to fragrances, a lot of what you smell, you're probably gonna love. You're gonna think it's the best thing since sliced bread. But trust me, there's nothing worse than buying a cologne and then after 2 weeks never wanting to touch it again because you're already sick and bored of how it smells. For example, as much as I still do love and treasure Versace Eros, it definitely has a special place in my heart. I am so bored of this fragrance now. I much prefer Versace Eros Flame. That's just an example of a fragrance that I bought because I thought I loved it, but then I got bored of it really quickly. Same as Versace Pour Homme. This is just fresh, clean citrus. This is a very popular blue fragrance. However, if you buy this, there is a good chance you'll be sick of it in like 2 weeks. That's why something like Rasasi House Ice might be a better option for a lot of you. This is minty, fresh, aquatic. Honestly, it's got that fruity sweetness to it as well. There's just something addictive and unique about this. It's a little bit more challenging, but still very easy to like. I just see something like this as, a fragrance that is a little bit more timeless. It might not be something you want to wear until you're 70 years old or something ridiculous, but you could be happy wearing this for the next couple years, whereas something like Versace Eros, yes, it's popular, yes, it smells good, it just will get boring very, very quickly from my experience. If you're not sure whether, you see yourself getting bored of the fragrance quickly or not, just simply ask yourself, can I see myself wearing this as my signature scent in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time? And you'll have your answer. Let's move on to critical fragrance mistakes that I have made in my 2 to 3 year collecting journey. So potentially I can help you avoid making these mistakes. Up first is buying a whole bunch of cheap freshies that all smell quite similar, and then they all just sit around in your closet literally doing nothing. The reason this happens to myself and a lot of people is because you want to grow your collection very quickly. And so you end up, instead of saving up for high quality colognes that are a little bit more pricey, you just buy a whole bunch of cheapies from your local chemist. I am guilty as charged for this mistake. Nautica Voyage, Mont Blanc Legend Spirit, Versace Pour Homme. Literally, I have around 20 of these just sitting around, in this little department thing. And I only wear Mont Blanc Legend Spirit if I'm gonna wear a cheap freshie. This one is my favorite by far. I honestly recommend you do your research, you smell a bunch of them, and you just pick your favorite. And then from there, save up, buy more expensive, higher quality fragrances that have different scent profiles that work for different occasions. These cheap freshies are nice to have, but you only need one, max 2 of them, because they all do the same thing. For me, these colognes are just essentially for the gym, for physical activity, 2 or 3 sprays to smell fresh and clean, or keeping it in your gym bag for after, just to keep up the hygiene. That's about it for me. There's no really other situation I'll wear these, unless maybe I just want something super simple. These all just do the same thing. Just buy one and stick with it. If you want my recommendation, Mont Blanc Legend Spirit is the best one I've tried by far. This costed me like $50, sweet, watery, citrus. I love it. Honestly, I wear it like 4 times a week, but I don't need any other one. The second key fragrance mistake that I made for about a whole year until I actually learnt my lesson is paying retail for colognes. So it is always best practice to go into something like Maya, to go into something like David Jones, smell all the fragrances that you want to, and then leave and make sure you never buy anything from them again. Once you have found the cologne that you like, look it up online and you will very quickly realize that retail stores overcharge the crap out of fragrances, especially certain brands that aren't as designer and aren't as popular. Something like a Jean Paul Gaultier, a Dior fragrance, they're pretty hard to find discounted. You might just have to pay retail for them, or you can go on Facebook and potentially get them secondhand if you're very careful with who you're dealing with. But with fragrances like, for example, niche brands like Mancera, Bond No. 9, even Parfums de Marly, you can get some juicy discounts on these, especially if you live in the US or the UK. For my US people watching, Joma Shop is fantastic. Fragflex as well. I work with both of them. If you want to check them out, look at the links in the description below. They are both very reputable. They ship very quickly. They do returns. Definitely check them out. You'll save yourself a ton of money. If you live in the UK, I believe Aura Fragrance is a really good option. I've heard they're very reputable and they have some insane deals. And finally, if you live in Australia like me, Essential Perfumes is the one I use the most. They have some great prices, especially on Parfums de Marly. For example, Layton, they sell for $330 instead of the $500 retail price tag. However, I also use the Facebook marketplaces a lot. I'm just very careful about who I work with, but I've gotten some of the craziest deals that you would not even believe from Facebook. The final fragrance mistake that you will probably make, that I have made, that I'm sharing with you, is listening to me. That might sound kind of counterintuitive because you're watching this video right now, but listening to fragrance creators and reviewers and listening to them like they're a religion is a massive mistake that I made with many creators a couple years ago. JenSense, School of Scent, Jeremy Fragrance, I love all three of those guys. They've taught me a lot. And they've recommended me some great fragrances, but there was a period where literally any fragrance that they recommended, if I liked the look of it too, I would just go out and blind buy it. And it led to a lot of wasted money, a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of just fragrances in my collection that I never wear anymore because I trusted their word too much. This comes back to what I talked about at the start of the video. Every one of our nose is different, no matter how good the reviews for a fragrance are, no matter, if it's your favorite fragrance reviewer in the world and you swear that you have a similar taste to them, trust me, go and smell it first. Blind buying is risky. Do not just trust creators' opinion. Always take it with, I wouldn't say a grain of salt, maybe some salt and some pepper. Just consider it strongly, but always go out and get a sample first before you blind buy it. I could honestly count on around 4 to 5 hands how many failed fragrance blind buys I've had because I trusted creators too much and their nose was different to mine. And I could have sworn, we had similar tastes, and that's just how it goes. I've sold a lot of fragrances that were unsuccessful blind buys, and I don't want you to make that same mistake because you can never resell them for the same price that you bought them. I'm trying to save you guys some money. Take my word on this one. That is going to wrap this video up. I really hope if you're a young guy that wants to buy his first cologne or you've just started getting into cologne that this video helps you a lot. I've given you 3 crucial fragrance tips on buying your first cologne and 3 of the worst mistakes that I made on my fragrance journey. So hopefully you don't do the same as me. Have a great rest of your day. Let me know in the comments if you have any video ideas. I read all the comments. I don't respond to all of them, but trust me, I read all of them. If you have a great video idea, I will credit you and I will do the video. Like, subscribe, tick the bell. I'll catch you guys in the next one.